Right. Hey, welcome back. Glad you all are here. Glad I'm watching this wonderful Tour de France film. So in the men's race, they raced part of the course of Paris-Roubaix, racing on gravel. So I guess in the desire for parity, or equal suffering in this case, they decided to run the women across the Chemin Blanc. Keep thinking that's going to be Chemin Blanc, but anyway, of the white gravel roads of the vineyards, still riding in the Champagne region. Of course, the other thing I think when I hear Chemin Blanc is Chenin Blanc, white wine, French white wine. Very nice little bit of fruit to it. Bright, easy drinking wine. So the wine may be easy drinking, but the roads that the farmers use are anything but. So Chemin Blanc is the white gravel roads. Sorry, my French isn't strong enough to know exactly what Chemin Blanc means. I'm going to guess gravel. So this is going to be a little bit of a challenge to communicate this white gravel dust. But, that's part of the fun of doing these is challenging yourself. And of course I recommend that for everyone, is the whole point of making art is to learn. Yes, of course I do make a product. There is some art when I'm done with this. And I hope it's art that people want to have. So yes, all the work is for sale. But a big part of why I do this is to learn, to discover, to create something I haven't created before. So this is a bit of a challenge. Hopefully it'll work. We'll see. So right now I'm just getting the riders laid out, these women of the peloton. Sorry, this piece of drywall was reacting strangely. Oh, I know what it is. I've noticed it flapping before, but it is. So these gravel roads, of course, are tough to ride on. I've ridden on some just like cinder tracks when my wife was working on a project. She's an actor and was working on the TV series Sprung, which should be out shortly, next month, a couple weeks. She's in a couple of episodes. But anyway, so there were a lot of bike trails in and around the Pittsburgh area where she was shooting. It's really a great area for riding, but most of them are old railroad track beds, and they're not paved, they're cinder and gravel. And so one of the things you have is a higher likelihood of puncturing, but also a lot of dust and a very unsteady road surface. So these are the trees that they're riding through right now. But the interesting part, and I think I'm actually going to start unusually, so we're going to call this Chemin Blanc. I try to remember to sign them before I start painting. It's the ink thing. It's like not only is there the concern, and you need to bear this in mind, the concern that the watercolor will pick up the ink too soon, but conversely, if you try to write while the surface is wet, the ink will bleed out, and of course your so I'm going to lay in some of this dust first, which is, not what I say I normally do. So I'm working with this dark. But see, I'm actually hoping that I will get some color bleed. It's kind of the idea is that the dust and the cloud of dust is such that it's difficult to see and things become indistinct. And of course it's gravel road, so there's stone everywhere, which gives, makes the stability that much worse. So far, fortunately, there haven't been any crashes. If you search the Strade Bianche, which is raced on these, again, Italian white roads, although they're racing to the town too. But there's a piece of video where the men's peloton hits a rough patch, somebody makes a mistake, and people go flying everywhere. You can see Julien Alaphilippe do a somersault off of his bike into the fields. It's really, he did get back up and keep riding, but didn't look fun. So just getting in a little bit of this vulgarity of the dust. Now I'll start doing, so now go back and start doing what I normally do, start with the yellows. So we got a few yellow sleeves here, and then behind them some yellow helmets. The yellow helmet goes on the team with the who's leading the race, the best team. That's Canyon SRAM right now. So now I'll switch over to the flesh tone again, skin tone. So hopefully this is starting to show the dust and chaos. It's actually easier to do this with watercolor than it would be with, well, I think it is, maybe, I don't know, with oil paint, just at least with the oil sticks, because the translucency of this medium actually helps communicate what is in effect translucency of dust. And a lot of that will be communicated when I get into the grass area or the trees around the riders. So I have to come on. There we go. So with the streaming surface, if I pause the image for too long, it decides that I must not be watching it, and it goes into shutdown mode. So that's what that was about. So I believe this is SD Works' kit. I confess I do not know the women's jerseys quite as well as I know the men's. It is a beautiful, brightly colored kit, multiple color. It's sort of the chroma version of the somewhat drab and dull, although I like it, Jumbo Visma jersey. So now we're going to shift over to the blues. Actually, I put the wrong color on my brush. Get this bright cerulean blue for the M's on the Movistar kit. Now, Movistar is one of the teams, and so is Jumbo for that matter, that the men and women wear the same jersey. Trek Segafredo uses the same name, but changes the jersey slightly. speaking of Trek Segafredo, this is Van Dyke. Can't remember her first name right now. She does ride for the team, but she is currently, so her kit's different because she's currently the European champion. So she has these sort of a EU looking jersey of blue, some blue stripes with the yellow stars. Okay, let's see, I need some purple. I forgot the purple helmets. It is interesting that there's a lot of purple in the women's peloton and none in the men's. Is it something silly like, well, that's a girly color? Who knows? There's a quote from Catherine Bertine talking about trying to get a woman's Tour de France started. She was very instrumental in La Course, which is now sort of expanded and grown to and changed its name. I think. I mean the etymology. the growth from one race to this one is very linear. It's a direct line, and so but Catherine Bertine said of trying to get a women's race started, it was a laziness and bigotry and misogyny is the main reasons it hadn't happened yet. I like Catherine for many reasons, many reasons, but one of them is just how unafraid and willing she is to speak truth to power. You need to read her book, Stand, about getting the course started. I have a lot of trouble with the book because I get so pissed off reading it. Not at what she's doing, but at what she came up against and just the arrogance and stupidity of my gender. So multiple reasons for painting this race. One, of course, is it's straight up great racing. This is nothing altruistic. It's just great racing, and the women are really providing exciting bike racing as always. But also it's, someone was making the point online about, how can you support this? Watch it. Watch women race. And that will see the advertising dollar. The advertisers will see the advantage to being involved. And if they see it involved, then the networks will get it broadcast. It's one of the things Catherine talks about in the book is, well, nobody watches it, so why would we want to invest in it? And of course her response, and rightly so, is, well, how can they watch it if you won't show it? It's a little bit of a chicken and an egg thing, but if you don't show it, then nobody can watch it, and then you can say, well, we're not going to show it because nobody watches it. And there was just, nobody, part of that laziness was nobody willing to look at that fact and nobody to go, okay, well, maybe nobody watches it because they can't. So, and the other thing I heard on the broadcast today from Hannah Walker, I think it is. Pretty sure. Yeah. Her Twitter handle is Spanna Walker. The English call a wrench a spanner. So actually, I'm really happy with how that worked out. So I've been rambling about the history of women's cycling. And one of the things also that several people have been pointing out is this is not the inaugural Tour de France for women. This is the return of the Tour de France for women. This race had existed under a different name. So this is the first race of Tour de France Femmes, but that's just because this is a new name created for the race. So you can see all the work at theartofcycling.blogspot.com. You can see my work at gregleach.com. That'll all be in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Love to hear what you think. Love to hear your opinions on women's cycling and what I'm rambling about. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it.